my reviews. Let's discuss for this week's Bleach Manga chapter 525. So let's get into this. So this week's Bleach Manga chapter was a great chapter. It was a great chapter, and I'll explain exactly why it was a great chapter. But I'm not gonna do the summarization for this. I'm just gonna talk about the chapter here because it's one of those chapters just to really talk about the moments and just the flow. Because one thing I have to mention is the flow of this chapter was excellent. I just love how it did a good blend of the flashbacks with real time fighting. You know, I love how it did that. It was very just smooth, very, very smooth. So I actually enjoyed that a lot. It was also nice to see a little King-chan. You know, he was there. You know, he's freaking beast. He was freaking beast. Wow. And so in the real time, Kenny kept going in and out of consciousness, and people have like theories basically saying that he was getting killed and getting revived, or getting killed by Unohana. Everyone that said that, give yourself a round of applause, because that's exactly what is going on. You guys are really good at that stuff too. You guys really know how to pick and decipher and have these great theories. So you guys are really good at that. So give yourself a round of applause. Right. So like I said, I really enjoyed the fight, what was going on here, because you get a flashback in this, and apparently there's a pile of dead bodies, because the thing is, Unohana back then, because she actually was the same person, like, she was in the court guard squad, and she was still like that, menacing, killing Unohana, and she was looking for opponents in the Rakongai district, and there's like a pile of bodies on the ground, but the thing is, she didn't kill those people, and so she's like, where those bodies come from? And that's when Kenny came out of nowhere, ends up stabbing her in the chest, which is where she got that wound. And then they fight. And the thing is, because Kenny's a little kid, and he actually has that sword still, by the way, too. I want to mention that, because when did he get that sword? That's one thing I'm actually still kind of curious about now, because we see him as a little kid here. So when did he get that sword? Because how long has it been with him? I'm really curious about that. But as they're fighting, Unohana could not defeat him, and he's just a little kid. I'm like, what the heck's what's going on here? And the thing is, this is where Unohana's sins come from. Apparently, Unohana's sin is that they were enjoying the fight so much, he was going all out on her. He could fight freely without having limiting his power in no way, shape, or form. And the thing is, she was losing. She was going to die. And the thing is, Kenpachi didn't want to kill her. The thing is, what Kenpachi did was actually limit himself. Put an extreme limiter on his power. And it kind of shows, too, because that's a great example. I mean, that's perfect. I love the way he said this, because the thing is, we know Kenpachi, when he fights, he always limits himself. He always tries to enjoy the fight, and doing this big gigantic limit on his power, it makes sense, and it also makes sense why he was so weak then after this fight. Because after this fight, we go to Ichigo versus Kenpachi. We're wondering, why did Ichigo actually be able to beat him? Because he limited his power so much that he was just so weak at that time. And so every fight that he went through, because he barely beat Noritora at the time, but every fight he went through, he gradually let the shackles off him to gradually get stronger. So, it was so good to see that, So just why she's fighting him right now, killing him, then reviving him so he can finally get back to his old strength. So that's, like, that was freaking, it's just excellent. I love the explanation to this. And the thing is, in real time, Kenpachi finally starts getting her, scratching her arm. And then a final slash to her. So I was like, dang. So I'm wondering, is this fight gonna be over? Is all this gonna be over? Because I'm hopefully in the next chapter, I'm hoping the fight could still maybe go on a little bit more. I want to see. The thing is, I like this chapter a lot. This was a great chapter because just the way it flowed, how just it all makes sense. You know what I mean? It really makes sense. People are always wondering exactly, because after the last chapter, he's like, how is he weaker than before? Because he's supposed to get stronger. Well, this is the reason why he was so weak, because all through all these fights and stuff, it explains it very, very well. So Kubo, good job. But it kind of sucks though, because basically he's just trying to go back to his old power, when he was a kid, which is kind of crazy. But when he was a kid, and that means he's not gonna get an ability. He's not probably gonna learn a Shikai or get a Bankai or any of that stuff. He's just gonna use a sword, and just be beast, basically, like just be beast. So it kind of sucks, you know what I mean? I was hoping he can get a Shikai, or at least learn his name for a Shikai, or something, you know what I mean? Because I would love to see some ability from him, from his sword and stuff. Because again, like at the end of the day, what's going on with that sword? How long has it been with him? So I just really want to know. Also, I'm wondering why they couldn't try to take. Well, Actually, I can't say that because Unohana was like losing to this person. So I doubt she would have been able to grab him and try to convince him to go to the Sarate, not Sarate, but go at 13 and stuff, try to work with them. And I see why she didn't try to get him because he probably couldn't because he probably just ran away after that because he's like, I don't want to kill you because you're my first foe that I actually have fun fighting with. So it really sucks, but I say it's such a good thing because I'm telling you, man, it's so good. I'm sorry, it's so good for the fact that because we know he limits his power. So this was the perfect example. We should have thought about this. It was like right in our faces actually, but we just didn't think about that. He limited his power. So yeah, like I said, this has been my review / discussion like kind of thing. I'm sorry because I didn't really do a summarization for this, but you know what happened in it, right? So leave your comments below and tell me what you think of the chapter. Because like I said, I think this was a great chapter. The way it flowed, and it wasn't just a quick chapter, a quick battle chapter. It actually had a lot of dialogue in it. So a nice read as well. The art is really good in this as well. Very good panels for Kenpachi, and just overall, it was excellent. That's all I can give it. So leave your comments below. Tell me what you think. Like this review, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more Bleach reviews from me. So yeah, it's been the Thabreakmaster, and until then, break out.